Hi, welcome to Health Talk. I'm Victor. I'm a graduate of the Human Biology Department at UC San Diego. Today we have with us Margaret Wang. She's a master's student in counseling psychology at Santa Clara University. Welcome, Margaret.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on the show, Victor.
So last time Margaret was on the show, we talked a little bit about stress management and how to deal with stress, basically meditation techniques, relaxation techniques. And today we're going to kind of go along the same vein and discuss behavioral changes and changing things in your life, whether it be becoming more active, changing your fitness regimen, or just eating healthier. So Margaret, can you give us our home audience a little taste of a roadmap of where we want to go today?
Oh, yeah. So we're going to, just like Victor said, we're going to talk about trying to form your own goals and taking a realistic approach toward making these changes in your life, whether that be trying to lose weight or quit smoking or increase your healthy lifestyle. So first, there are a number of kind of different facets to this, one of which is readiness for change. And we like to, this comes from the research on motivational interviewing. And so when looking at this, we often ask clients, how ready are you to make this change? And we often kind of come across some kind of resistance because it's very comfortable being stuck in the kind of the habits that you've already created.
Of course.
And you think, well, even though you want to make this change, you're not quite sure about the challenges that you're going to face because you've got such a mindset that's focused on this new lifestyle that you're kind of not confronting the realities.
Yeah. So how do we set goals and really get ourselves motivated and ready for the change? Are there any specific steps that I might be able to take, say, if I wanted to increase my fitness and really try to make it to the gym every day, or try to go running every day? How would I go about making those small goals and really getting myself motivated?
So I think first it kind of comes with creating the pros and cons of the status quo, meaning advantages of the status quo would be staying where you are right now, not working out as often as you would like.
So being a couch potato and relaxing a lot more than hitting the gym every day.
Yeah, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a couch potato. It just means that you also have to take baby steps. You can't go from 0 to 100, kind of like last time we talked about with injury prevention. You can't go from sitting on the couch to running a marathon. You have to go into it slowly and start off by running once a week. Or that might even mean if you're really inactive, maybe start by walking 3 times a week and you have a certain time limit, let's say 20 minutes, and then you extend. So the research shows that setting realistic goals create the best outcomes.
Okay, so like we said before, really trying to take baby steps, taking, instead of, if I was a couch potato going to run that marathon, maybe I start out with a smaller race, like a 5K, like a 3-mile race of, a little thing that I can really easily digest. Just starting out and making that habit of, going out to walk 3 times a week and really trying to make an effort towards that fitness goal.
And I think even a 3-mile run or might not even be necessary. It just depends. And this is where the tailoring it to the individual really makes sense. Just knowing yourself. Do I work better with having concrete goals like races, or do I work better with, just being individually motivated?
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about how to overcome that initial resistance? I know that you were saying before, whenever we try to change a routine, whenever we try to, make a switch in our lives, it's really hard to get out of that really comfortable zone that we're in. So are there any techniques or any research about how it's, we can really push past that inertia.
So first, it's being able to list those concrete examples. What are the positives of staying where you are right now versus what are the negatives?
Okay.
Meaning, what are the benefits of changing? And just having those out kind of allow you to have a visual, and it presents concrete reasons as to why you really want to make this change.
Okay. Yeah. So really, getting yourself out there, visualizing what your goal is, your end goal is. Say I'm the kind of person who's really motivated by, that carrot at the end of the road. So, I signed up for a race. I'm ready to go. So really building out that plan and baby steps, and looking forward to that race. So I guess would be one thing that would help me get motivated. Are there other factors that might influence somebody's disposition about how they would go about changing? Maybe some self-confidence boosters, or how does that sort of thing factor into change?
Oh, okay. So that is definitely another factor. So there are three parts: readiness and willingness to change, as well as confidence levels.
Okay.
So trying to evaluate how confident you are in terms of being able to make this change. So we do this exercise where you rate yourself on a 1 to 10 scale, where you say 10 is very confident. You feel like you've got this. You're going to make it. You're going to implement this change immediately and for the rest of your life.
Okay.
1 would be, I'm never going to do this. This is impossible. I'm going to stay on the couch.
Yeah.
Why should I change, or not ready?
Even bother, yeah.
Yeah, I can't do this.
Okay.
So let's say you give yourself a 5 for confidence levels, but then you say, well, why isn't it a 4? So being able to ask that lower rating shows that you already have some strengths and resources. So you're able to pinpoint things that have already worked for you. So maybe you're a 4 because, I have a lot of time in my schedule, and I might be able to, and I have a new gym membership, and I feel like, that will allow me to go. And I've already gone, 5 times in the past month.
Okay. So basically trying to take, even, no matter where you are in that confidence level, even if, you've never run it before in your life, you have you jog, periodically but not regularly. And if you really want to go strive for that marathon, really being able to, I guess, assess where you were and say, I'm able to jog, maybe I would really be able to build out my strengths and, enhance them through training and discipline and, really a good schedule and being able to reach that goal. Okay. Are there any other methods to increase that confidence other than, just looking back on your previous achievements?
Let's see. So I guess that reframe, being able to see that you have done what you've done. Another way is just kind of thinking about, kind of like last time, 3 things that could be worse and 3 things that could be better, meaning that it gives you more of a realistic picture of what's going on right now.
Okay.
Another way is to go back to your willingness to change. And the reason I say this is that research has been shown that being able to pinpoint your values really helps you map out where you are in terms of where you'd like to be, and how this might be dissonant with where you are right now. So one example is maybe you have a value for working hard, and you feel like right now your behavior with exercising doesn't really show that. You can kind of say to yourself and also be able to see that these values contradict,
So
or
really,
the value and the behavior contradict.
yeah, so really going back to your key motivation and kind of where you are as a person, assessing, I know I'm a hard worker, I'm like my nose to the grindstone at work, but I can't seem to get myself off the couch when I get home to, go on that run, and, it's really upsetting me. So, really trying to go back to the core of who you are trying to go from there. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. And
Okay.
I think getting back to that with realistic goals, this also ties back into knowing yourself. So let's say you know that after, working all day, you're going to be too tired to go out for a run. So maybe that means adjusting your schedule, that maybe becoming a morning person and waking up maybe 2 hours earlier
Yeah.
might be beneficial for you to be able to get in that workout.
Okay. Yeah. So really going back to that readiness to change, knowing yourself, that willingness, that motivation, that drive to change, and then finally, really thinking about that confidence and being confident in yourself that you can change.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I was reading. There's some, I guess, tools that we could use maybe to help change. I was reading a book about habits and habit formation. Maybe for that runner who doesn't really run too terribly much when they get home, could just put their running shoes by the door just as a kind of a reminder to themselves. Hey, I really got to go on that run. And maybe we could go through, I guess, the steps it would take for our home viewer to. I mean, we've been talking a lot about running, but this can apply to changing your diet or quitting smoking or any number of habits that we find ourselves doing that aren't necessarily helpful. So do we have? Can you give us kind of a roadmap of how, say, I visited my doctor. He said I needed to lose a couple pounds. Where would I start?
So I think first of all, it's important for you to make your own goal, not make it based on what your doctor says, because it has to be internally driven. So this means coming up with goals that are realistic. This is why oftentimes New Year's resolutions don't work, because you think, oh, well, I'm going to go from 0 to 100. I'm going to lose 50 pounds. I'm going to, get a new partner. It's going to look fine and dandy, but it's not very realistic. You have your heads, you're living your life unrealistically.
Okay.
So I think little techniques like putting your gym shoes by the door, packing your gym bag before work or something. That way you have everything ready, or even bringing your sneakers to the office. Maybe that means, during a 10-minute break, you can go walk around.
Yeah.
Little steps that aren't just, that aren't overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, I know from personal experience, I don't really like to go to the gym around January simply because it's so crowded, and the crowd tends to peter off in February, which is it's a shame, because I see a lot of people and I know they're all working hard and really trying to attain those fitness goals, but really trying to take it, as you said, one baby step at a time.
Right.
Rebuilding that habit loop. One of those things where you have those cues for yourself to go walking. I know a lot of my coworkers used to go running or do a light jog at lunch, which was a good way for them to get their exercise in for the day, and it's really refreshing for them too.
Like, there's always that positive of exercising, the release of endorphins. There's also the aspect where you could come up with a plan where you say, okay, for 3 weeks, I'm going to try walking 3 times per week. Then you give yourself a little reward, like whether that is, something where you could get yourself a $5 gift card, or a trip to the beach. I don't know, whatever.
Whatever motivates you, basically.
Whatever
right?
motivates you.
So,
and then after that, you increase. So let's say 3 weeks after, so 6 weeks in, you increase to 6 times per week. So it's just that, those steps.
That incremental step, yeah. I remember, I'm just speaking from my own personal experience, when I started really trying to get into my running regimen, I would say, I'm going to try and hit this number of miles, whether I ran it or whether I walked it, I would just try and hit that number of miles, and when I got home, I would be able to, look at my cell phone, and there are plenty of like running apps and things like that on the market where they're free and you can just track how you're doing. And it felt really good to, be able to say, I set my goal for 2 miles and I made my 2 miles, and, just go home and, have a little like mini candy bar or something like that. Something to, you know, remind myself that I'm on the right track.
Exactly, exactly. Kind of along that line, having other people hold you accountable for this new change is really important as well. So there are a lot of apps out there based around making these.
Like social networks, like social support, like, you know,
Yeah.
friends like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So tell your friends, okay, I have a goal of running or walking 3 times per week. Can you, you know, call me to make sure that I'm doing this? Because sometimes it's not enough to have ourselves,
Of
you
course,
know,
yeah.
to hold ourselves accountable.
And that's always the hardest. And I mean, that's really a source of strength, I feel. Once you're able to get to that point where you can really motivate yourself and not really need that, you know, candy bar at the end of the day, or you know, your friends to remind you. But I always find it helpful to have somebody to go with you, somebody to go run with. Somebody, for me, it was to race with, because it was kind of a little bit of competition, because I really enjoy that aspect. Personally, I'm a little competitive, so, you know, trying to really train for that goal and, you know, trying to beat the other person. But
Yeah, no, that's also a good point, that you know yourself, that you're competitive, and as a result you kind of work with that and you make it work to your advantage. So you allow that person to I don't know, initiate that competitiveness in you. And this might also mean like going to a spin class together, or having a certain time where you go running with someone or walking with someone. Also having something set the same time every day is shown to be effective as well.
okay, so going back, basically, you know, like you were saying with the spin class, I heard that people who go to the gym infrequently, you know, who vary the times of days that they go, tend to not do as well, because, you know, they don't form the same sense of camaraderie with, you know, even strangers. I mean, I go to the gym relatively at the same time every day. You know, you see the same people, and you sometimes get to talking, and it's nice to just meet people who have the same fitness goals, who are looking either to, you know, to lift more or to run more, or you know, just, you know, become a better version of themselves. That's really motivating and inspiring. Okay.
And I think that definitely hits on the social aspect of it. I think there's also a part where, getting back to your experience with habit formation, being able to, it just becomes
Like second
ingrained,
nature, right?
yeah, ingrained in your brain to go to the gym at the same time every day, and you think, oh well, I wouldn't do it any other way, because it just becomes second nature.
Yeah. And I mean, that also, that second nature cuts two ways. I mean, you can have, you know, somebody who places their gym shoes at the door every single morning, and then right when they get home from work, you know, they take the dog out for a run, or, you know, they take their gym bag and go to the gym at the same time every day. But there's also people who, you know, have that afternoon snack at the same time every day. And that can, you know, be kind of detrimental to your goals. And one of the things that I was reading about for habit formation is basically really knowing why that occurs, whether that's motivated either by actual hunger, like, you know, if I'm going to grab that candy bar at 3 in the afternoon because I'm hungry, or, you know, because I'm bored at work and it's been a long day, or, you know, if I just really wanted to talk to somebody. So I guess that goes back to your idea of really knowing yourself, and, you know, trying to know the motivations behind what you're doing, and you know, either whether it be for something that's, you know, positive like fitness, or whether it's something that's, you know, not so great, like, you know, I go out for a smoke, or I go grab an unhealthy snack, or you know, whatnot, right? Okay.
So maybe we can look at a particular example with maybe changing eating habits, because that seems pretty common,
Yeah.
or quitting smoking.
Okay. So somebody who's, I guess, used to a really like heavy meals, like lots of carbohydrates, lots of fats, how would you recommend that they switch to something a little lighter? Maybe, you know, incorporating like salads, or, you know, steamed vegetables. I don't know, how would you suggest that to a viewer at our home audience?
I think, yet again, take it easy. You know, you're not going to go from eating heavy meals like pizza and burgers to salads. That's a little too abrupt.
Yeah.
So maybe go start off with your, and also it's about portions too. So maybe start off with, instead of the whole burger, maybe start off with 3/4 of the burger, and kind of regulate, okay, how hungry am I on a 1 to 10 scale. 10 is just full, like Thanksgiving, my button is about to pop out. And maybe it's like an 8 or 7 where you're like, okay, I'm okay, like I'm pretty full, and then just take a break and just kind of come back. And for some people who have the tendency to eat when they're not necessarily hungry, kind of maybe even set a timer for 5 minutes and say, okay, for 5 minutes I'm not going to eat, and then it's more likely that you're not going to continue eating if you set that timer. You still might be, maybe after the 5 minutes has come up, you'll say, oh, well, I'm ready for a snack again. Maybe do something else. Change your location, change your environment. Go take a walk instead. Go call a friend, go listen to music, whatever coping skill that isn't eating, try that out.
Okay, so going back to kind of, really recognizing why you're doing what you're doing, whether at 3 p.m. you go to the company vending machine to grab that candy bar, whether it's really you just needed a break from work instead of whether or not you really need that candy bar.
And then also it kind of brings in that mindful aspect, to be able to say to yourself, that's okay, I don't want to be here right now. It's okay. You don't have to feel guilty about not wanting to be at work right now because you've been there for a long time.
Yeah. And it's nice to hear that we really need to take things gradually. I mean, there's a lot of diets out there. There's a lot of crash diets that, I've heard a lot about, people taking things to extremes where, they'll cut everything out of their diet, they, weigh everything really precisely, And I mean, as important as portion control is and everything in nutrition, it's really important to kind of assess how people are eating as a whole and trying to, if you're trying to lose that weight, really seeing how much you're eating, how much you're, spending, making sure that exercise and that nutrition is balanced, and, really taking a look at whether or not you're stretching yourself in either direction, whether you're either exercising too much and, you're running 20 miles a day and, you really don't need to be, or, you're really cutting yourself too much on your food intake.
I think, going back to the concrete steps to take for changing your food diet, I don't really like the word diet, but rather maybe think of it as, okay, if you're eating pizza every day, maybe try to come up with replacements. Or instead of having pizza 3 times a week, maybe have it twice a week. And then also incorporate other things that are tasty. So that's another kind of misconception, that healthy food doesn't taste good. So you can experiment with different things, whether that be trying out different dressings or trying out different sauces, like marinara sauce to get yourself to eat vegetables. Maybe dip your vegetables into marinara sauce. Just incorporating more of those greens and steamed vegetables into your diet, as well as whole grains. So maybe you're not going to cut out all carbohydrates, but rather start incorporating ones with those that will provide you longer lasting energy.
Okay, so basically, like everybody says, cutting out the white rice, substituting for brown rice, and using, the old mom trick where you sneak a few vegetables into something that's delicious that, the kids will eat, or even for yourself. I mean, a lot of people don't like eating their vegetables, putting it in a dish where you wouldn't expect it and, being able to really enjoy it even.
Yeah. And even like if you come up with your favorite sauce, like for me, one of my favorites is barbecue sauce. Okay. So if you drizzle or dunk the whole broccoli head into barbecue sauce, it will taste a lot better than eating it by itself. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So really just trying to getting to know yourself, knowing how to make that change, and really assessing, and I find that, making miniature goals and, I guess tracking it. Do you have any do you know about any research or studies about how tracking and things like that might help somebody make a change?
Oh, definitely. And I think there's an aspect where you're able to see your progress that also helps. And being able to map out how far you have come.
So that's like a real confidence booster. Once again, going back to, being able to see, this is where I came from. When I first started, I was walking, 2 times a week, 1 time a week. And now, I'm running, miles at a time. And, it's really inspiring. It really keeps you going.
Yeah.
As opposed to somebody who's not really tracking it and they're just kind of like, well, I'm on this road. I don't know where I'm going. So just setting those concrete goals, those manageable goals, and also being able to backtrack a little bit. So
exactly.
we still got a little bit of time left, but I'd like to just kind of go back over from the beginning.
Okay.
We were talking a little bit about the readiness to change and the willingness to change. So can you remind us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so I think especially when you're coming back to having this log, in that process, maybe 3 weeks in, reevaluate your levels of confidence, your willingness and readiness to change. So 3 weeks in, you'll say, okay, where am I on a 1 to 10 scale where I'm really willing? I'm maybe an 8. Well, why am I not a 7? So that will kind of help you pinpoint your own values. Whereas if you do 1 to 10 on confidence and you rate a 5, you say, well, why not a 4? And then you look at your log and you say, oh, well, I was able to maintain this new change for 3 weeks. So maybe that will actually increase your confidence a little bit because you have some reality before your eyes.
Okay. So that's kind of helping us to get ready for the change and really making us more willing to change with that increased confidence. And then setting those concrete goals and kind of knowing yourself. And then what else? We also covered a little bit about habit loops and, really trying to make set reminders for ourselves, whether it be that gym bag or, packing that gym bag in the morning or setting your running shoes by the door. Any other techniques that you might give our home viewers at home?
Let's see, know yourself. So if that means getting a buddy to go with you to the gym, or running a race with your best friend so that you can tap into that competition.
Yeah, that real social network. As we were saying, there's lots of applications out there that kind of help us, build that social network out. Have other people motivate you, and really, even if in addition to other people motivating you and having a little treat for yourself. So to wrap up, what would you tell our home audience?
I guess take it easy. So step by step. Don't try to, go from 0 times
0 to 100. Yeah.
0 to 100. So try not to go from, being on the couch to running a marathon. That not only will set you up for failure, but set you up for injury. Also, assess your levels of willingness and readiness to change, as well as your confidence levels, and know yourself.
Yeah. So know yourself, be ready to change, make that positive change in your life, whether it be fitness or nutrition. Thank you for joining us at Health Talk, and we'll see you next time.